Mira Holden walked slowly through the quiet hallways of the Silverway orbital habitat, her small medical bag hanging loosely from her hand. Her shift uniform felt strange on her body, almost too heavy now that she no longer had a reason to wear it. Only an hour ago, she had been a nurse with a stable job, caring for patients and helping people every day. Now she was a nurse without a station, without a team, and without a clear future. The news had come quickly and politely. She thought. The head administrator had smiled with soft eyes and used calm words. The hospital was moving to a fully automated model. The new medical AI system was capable of handling all standard care, and Mira's position was no longer necessary. No one had been rude, and no one had intended to hurt her feelings, but the result was the same. Mira no longer had a place there. She had nodded, thanked the administrator, handed back her access badge, and left with as much dignity as she could gather. She did not cry, and she did not argue. That was not her way. Mira had always believed that kindness was a strength, even in moments when life felt confusing or unfair. Still, as she stepped out into the warm, filtered sunlight of the Silverway biodome, she felt a gentle ache deep inside her chest. It was the ache of losing something important. The biodome was one of Mira's favorite places. It was a vast green garden created inside the space habitat, filled with soft grass, tall silver leaf trees, and glowing flowers that produced natural light during the night cycle. Birds from Earth and other peaceful colonies flew above the walking paths. A clear stream, artificial but beautifully designed, wound through the center, adding the sound of gentle water to the air. Mira liked to come here when she needed peace. Today, she needed it more than usual. She walked along the smooth stone path, trying to slow her breathing and calm her racing thoughts. What would she do now? Where would she work? Should she return to Earth for a while? Should she try a different medical station? Or should she change careers completely? She did not know. She only knew that she wanted to help people. That was all she had ever wanted. Mira stopped near a cluster of tall, glowing ferns. Their leaves shimmered with soft blue light, glowing like stars as the biodome's artificial sunlight filtered down through them. She reached out and gently touched one of the leaves. It felt cool and smooth, like polished glass. "It's okay," she whispered to herself. "Everything will work out." She tried to smile. As she continued down the path, a soft sound reached her ears. It was faint, like a small breath or sigh carried by the artificial breeze. Mira paused and tilted her head. The sound came again, slightly louder. It was not a bird. It was not the stream. And it was not the wind moving through the trees. It sounded alive, but weak. Mira's nurse instincts rose in her immediately. She followed the sound, stepping off the main path and moving between the ferns. The light grew dimmer as she walked deeper, the plants forming a natural shade around her. Then she saw something unusual. A cluster of leaves and branches had collapsed into a small clearing, as if something had fallen into them. At first, Mira thought it might be a large animal, maybe one of the gentle herbivores that occasionally wandered through the biodome. But as she moved closer, her breath caught in her throat. It was not an animal she recognized. Lying on a soft patch of moss, half covered by leaves, was a creature that looked like something from a storybook. It had shimmering silver scales that caught the soft light, tiny wings folded tightly against its sides, and a long tail curled around its body protectively. Its eyes were closed, and its breathing was slow but steady. It looked like a dragon, small, elegant, and strangely beautiful. Mira froze. Dragons were not real, at least not in the way old Earth stories described them. Some alien species had scales, wings, or unusual shapes, but nothing quite like this. "What are you?" she whispered, more curious than afraid. The creature shifted slightly, as if sensing her presence. It made a weak sound, soft like a tired sigh, and Mira felt her heart squeeze with worry. It was hurt. Not bleeding or broken, just exhausted. She could see the gentle tremble of its limbs, the way it tried to open its eyes but couldn't. As she knelt beside it, she noticed faint glowing patterns along its scales, like star constellations. They flickered weakly, like a light running low on power. Mira set her medical bag down beside her and carefully touched the creature's side. Its scales were warm, warmer than she expected. The warmth reminded her of sunlight on metal. "It's okay," she said softly. "I'm here to help." The creature opened its eyes large, bright, and full of swirling colors. Mira felt as though she were looking into the sky through them. For a moment, she thought she heard a voice, not with her ears, but somewhere inside her mind. "Safe. Gentle. Human." The words were soft, almost like a dream. Mira looked around, startled, but there was no one else nearby. The creature blinked slowly, as if trying to communicate again. She realized it wasn't dangerous. It was scared and tired. Mira took a deep breath and switched to her gentle voice, the one she used with frightened patience. "I won't hurt you. You're safe." She checked the creature carefully. No wounds, no broken bones. Just extreme fatigue and a faint energy imbalance that she didn't fully understand. The glowing patterns on its scales told her it wasn't an ordinary biological creature. It might have an energy-based physiology, or maybe it traveled through environments humans did not fully understand yet. But Mira did not need to understand everything. She only needed to help, using a soft medical scanner. She took readings and watched the small holographic display flicker with unfamiliar data. Mira frowned thoughtfully. "You need rest and warmth," she said gently. "I can help with that." The creature made a soft humming sound, almost like agreement. Mira looked around. Bringing it to the medical wing was not an option. She no longer worked there, and the automated system might not accept unknown species. Bringing it to habitat security didn't feel right either. They wouldn't harm it, but they might quarantine it or treat it as a dangerous anomaly. The creature did not feel dangerous. It felt lost, and Mira couldn't leave it here. It needed care. With slow, careful movements, she lifted the creature. It was surprisingly light, as if most of its mass was energy rather than solid matter. It curled slightly in her arms, nuzzling into her chest with a soft warmth that spread through her like sunlight. "That's it," she whispered. "You'll be all right." She carried it through the biodome quietly, keeping it closed so it wouldn't feel exposed or frightened. She walked past the sparkling stream, past the tall trees, past the glowing flowers. Several birds chirped curiously as she passed, but nothing approached. When she reached her small apartment on the lower residential ring, she unlocked the door and stepped inside. The lights came on automatically, filling the space with soft golden brightness. Her home was simple but warm, filled with plants and soft cushions. It felt like a good place for healing. Mira set the creature gently on her couch, placing a warm blanket over part of its body. It curled into the blanket almost immediately, letting out a tiny breath of relief. "There you go," Mira murmured. "Rest now." She sat beside it, scanning it again to be sure its energy levels weren't dropping further. They seemed stable, weak but steady. Minutes passed. The creature opened its eyes again, just slightly, and Mira heard the soft mental whisper once more. "Thank you." Mira smiled. "You're welcome." The creature's glowing patterns dimmed gently as it drifted into a peaceful sleep. Mira leaned back in her chair and exhaled. Only a few hours ago, she had lost her job. She had walked into the biodome feeling uncertain, worried, and unsure of her future. But now, she had saved something extraordinary. Something that felt like a miracle. She did not know what tomorrow would bring, but as she watched the small dragon-like creature sleeping peacefully on her couch, she felt something she had not felt earlier. Hope. And maybe the beginning of a new purpose. Mira Halden woke up earlier than usual the next morning. She wasn't sure why. Her body felt alert, her senses sharp and aware, as if something important waited for her. For a moment, she lay quietly in bed, listening to the soft hum of the Silverway Habitat's power systems. Then she remembered the creature, the small dragon-like being she had carried home the evening before. Mira sat up quickly, pushed her hair away from her face, and hurried into the living room with soft steps. She didn't want to startle her unusual guest. The first thing she saw was the blanket she had placed gently over it. The second thing she saw was that the blanket was moving, just a little, not in fear, but in a slow, peaceful rhythm like a sleeping heartbeat. She let out a small breath she didn't know she'd been holding. It's still here, she whispered to herself. It really wasn't a dream. The creature was curled up exactly where she had left it, but it looked different now that she saw it in the morning light. Its silver scales shimmered faintly with soft blue and purple reflections. The glowing patterns along its body were brighter than last night, showing it was recovering some of its energy. Mira stepped closer. The creature's eyes slowly opened. They were large and bright, filled with swirling colors: violet, gold, soft green like the sky during sunset on different planets. Mira felt as though she were looking at something both ancient and young at the same time. The creature blinked slowly, then lifted its head. "Good morning," Mira said softly. The creature did not speak aloud, but Mira felt a gentle presence in her mind, warm, calm, and curious. Humyn. Gentle. Mira gasped quietly. "You know my name?" The creature closed its eyes for a moment, as if concentrating, and the soft mental whisper came again. "You held kindness in your heart. Your thoughts spoke your name." Mira didn't fully understand how that worked, but she didn't feel afraid. The presence in her mind didn't push or force anything. It felt like a warm breeze or a friendly hand lightly touching hers. This was communication, not control. "Can you speak with words?" Mira asked gently. The creature tilted its head. Its wings fluttered just a little, almost like a stretch. "Not yet," the whisper replied. "Human speech is new, but I try." Mira smiled kindly. "You're doing very well." The creature looked pleased. Its glowing patterns brightened softly. "What should I call you?" Mira asked. There was a pause, and then the whisper came again, clearer than before. "Rithis," Mira repeated it quietly. "Rithis. That sounds beautiful." The creature's scales shimmered as if responding happily to her words. Mira knelt beside the couch, keeping her movements gentle. "How are you feeling now?" Rithis closed his eyes briefly. Mira sensed a faint hum, like he was checking his own energy. "Better. Warm. Safe." Mira smiled with relief. "I'm glad." Rithis slowly lifted one wing, showing that he could move it now without trembling. Then he tucked it back neatly. Mira noticed the wing membrane shimmered like glass touched by sunlight. She watched him for a moment, then asked softly, "Rithis, where did you come from?" Rithis gazed at her silently for several seconds, as if deciding whether she was ready to hear the answer. Mira did not rush him. She simply waited patiently. Finally, the whisper returned. "Far. Beyond the lanes your ships travel. Beyond the bright lines of your star maps." A soft glow swept across his scales. "My people are the Starborn." Mira frowned thoughtfully. She had heard that term before, usually in old legends, cosmic stories, or children's books. The Starborn were rumored to be a gentle but mysterious species that traveled through unusual energy currents in space. No human had ever seen one in person. "You're real," Mira said softly, almost breathless. "The Starborn truly exist." "Yes," Rithis replied warmly. "But we do not meet many humans. You are different." Mira tilted her head, curious. "Different how?" He studied her with eyes full of swirling light. "Humans hold strong feelings. Very bright, very warm. I felt your heart before I saw your form." Mira blinked. "You sense my emotions?" "Yes," Rithis answered gently. "Your heart was calm, even when you were sad. You cared for me without fear." Mira felt her cheeks warm a little. "I just did what anyone would do." Rithis gently nudged her hand with his snout, like a friendly pet. The gesture surprised her, but she didn't pull away. "Not anyone," he whispered. "Many walk past what they do not understand." "You did not." Mira looked down at her hands. "Maybe because I didn't have anything else to do," she murmured. "I lost my job yesterday." Rithis folded his wings around himself thoughtfully. "Yes, I saw the memory in your thoughts. You felt sadness, but you still helped." Mira sighed softly, sitting down on the floor beside the couch. "I'm not sure what comes next now." Rithis tilted his head, watching her with gentle interest. "What do you wish?" he asked. The question caught her by surprise. She had not asked herself that yet. She had been too busy worrying about the practical side of losing her job. "I only know that I want to help people," she murmured. That's all I've ever wanted. Rithus's eyes glowed brighter. That is rare, he told her gently. Many seek power, or wealth, or fame, but you seek to care. Mira shrugged. Caring is just a natural part of being human. Rithus shook his head softly. Not all humans think so. He paused, then added in a softer whisper. Kindness is a strong energy. It protects. It heals. Mira blinked in surprise. Protects, heals? Emotion can do that? Rithus nodded, in the Starborn way. Compassion is power. She stared at him for a moment, stunned by the idea. Compassion as power. That was not something human society usually said. But hearing it from a Starborn made it feel true in a new way. Mira looked at Rithus warmly. You speak like a teacher? Rithus seemed amused. Not a teacher. Only young. But I listen. And I feel. You're young? Mira asked, surprised. Rithus curled his tail modestly. For my kind, yes. Your people might say. Teenager. But energy-born years are not the same. Mira laughed softly. I never thought I'd meet a teenage cosmic dragon. Rithus's scales shimmered a happy purple. I like your laughter. Mira leaned back against the wall and studied him thoughtfully. You said you were tired yesterday. What happened to you? Rithus lowered his head slightly, as if remembering wasn't easy. I traveled far. Very far. Through currents not meant for a young one. I tried to take a shortcut through a rising flow. It pushed me away from my group. Mira frowned with concern. Were you alone? That must have felt scary. Rithus nodded slowly. Yes, I used too much energy to stay safe. I drifted until I reached your habitat. Then I fell into your garden. Mira understood now. You were exhausted. Yes, the whisper said softly. Very. But then you found me. He looked at her again, eyes glowing warmly. And because you helped me, you changed something important. Mira blinked. Changed what? Rithus didn't answer right away. Instead, he closed his eyes and breathed deeply. A soft glow moved along his wings. Too soon to say, he finally whispered. But you will understand soon. Mira tilted her head. Is it something good? Rithus opened his eyes. Yes, very good. She smiled gently. Then I'll wait. Rithus looked relieved, almost excited. Mira sensed that he wanted to share more, but needed more strength first. You should rest. Mira said softly. You're recovering well, but you shouldn't push yourself. Rithus curled back into the blanket and nodded. I rest, but will you stay here? Mira's heart softened at his gentle request. Of course. I won't go anywhere. Rithus blinked slowly, comforted. Thank you. Mira, as the creature drifted back to sleep, Mira sat beside him quietly. She watched his glowing patterns pulse softly like starlight. She didn't know what was coming next. She didn't know what important thing she had changed. But something inside her felt strangely warm, almost like she was standing at the beginning of a new path, a path she had never expected to walk. And yet, she felt ready for it. Mira Halden woke to a soft chimming sound. At first, she thought it was her usual morning alarm. But then she remembered she had turned it off the night before. She blinked sleepily and sat up, listening carefully. Chime, chime, chime. It wasn't coming from her room. It was coming from outside her apartment, loud enough to be heard through the walls. Mira frowned. The sound was gentle but unusual, like a soft melody played by small bells. She got out of bed and hurried to the living room. Rithus was already awake, sitting upright on the couch with his wings half open. He looked more energized than the day before. His glowing patterns were brighter, and his eyes sparkled with many colors. Rithus? Mira whispered. Do you hear that sound too? Rithus's head lifted slightly, and Mira felt a calm whisper in her mind. Yes, they have arrived. Mira blinked, confused. Who arrived? Rithus fluttered his wings gently. Those who come to thank you. Mira stared at him, still half asleep. Thank me? For what? Rithus looked at her with warm eyes. For saving me. Mira shook her head quickly. Rithus, I didn't do anything special. I just helped someone who needed care. Anyone would have done it. Rithus tilted his head. You helped a stranger from a species you did not know. You gave me trust. You shared your home. That is special. Before Mira could respond, The soft chimming sound grew louder, and the room brightened strangely. Mira turned toward the window and froze. Outside her balcony, filling the sky beyond the glass, were four enormous starships. They were nothing like the cargo ships or transport shuttles she usually saw around the Silver Way. Habitat. These were sleek, elegant vessels with glowing patterns and smooth hulls that shimmered like flowing water. Each starship was shaped differently, as if each belonged to a different culture or species. Yet they hovered close together with perfect harmony. Soft lights traced gentle patterns along their sides, creating a peaceful glow that filled the entire skyline. Mira stared with wide eyes. This can't be real. Rithus hopped off the couch and fluttered onto the window ledge. He pressed his small paw to the glass. It is real, he whispered into her mind. They come with peace. They come for you. Mira Halden, human nurse without a job, had four luxury starships floating outside her home. This was not how she imagined her morning. There was a soft knock at her door. Mira jumped slightly. Rithus looked at the door calmly. "To seek permission to enter," he explained. Mira took a deep breath, brushed her hair back quickly, and forced herself to stay calm. Okay, I'll open it." She walked to the door and hesitated a moment. Then she opened it slowly. Her first thought was that she had stepped into a dream. Standing outside her door were four representatives, each from a different cosmic group. They stood side by side, polite and calm, glowing softly under the habitat lights. The first was tall and graceful, with shimmering silver skin and long, flowing hair made of soft light. The second was shorter, rounder, and wore a robe that changed colors with each movement. The third had smooth blue skin and gentle eyes that reflected starlight. The fourth looked almost human, but had small, glowing shapes floating around their shoulders like tiny comets. All forebode slightly to Mira in perfect harmony. The one with silver skin stepped forward and spoke in a gentle, melodic voice. "Human Mira Halden," the being said. "We greet you in friendship and gratitude." Mira nearly stepped back. "Me? Why are you thanking me?" The second representative, round, colorful, and glowing softly, gave her a warm smile. "You saved the young starborn," they said, "a being whose existence is rare and precious. Your kindness reached farther than you could imagine." The third representative spoke next. Their voice calm like soft waves. "You showed compassion without expectation, without hesitation, without fear. Such a heart is treasured among our people." The fourth representative placed a hand over their chest. "You changed something important in the cosmic currents. You set a new path in motion." Mira blinked at them, stunned. "I didn't do anything special. I just helped someone who needed help." All four glanced toward Rithus, who had hopped onto Mira's shoulder. Rithus spread his wings proudly. "She saved me," he said with a soft mental whisper they all seemed able to hear. "She cared for me when I had no strength. She showed trust. She kept me safe." The representative with silver skin nodded respectfully at Mira. "Your actions prevented a misunderstanding that could have shaken peaceful relations across several regions of space." Mira frowned gently. "I don't understand." Rithus looked at her kindly. "If I had remained lost, my energy patterns would have disrupted the cosmic currents. Many would have searched for me. Many would have worried. But you helped me recover quietly, safely, and with kindness. Because of you, calm remained." The representative with colorful robes stepped forward and opened a soft, glowing device. Mira stepped back with surprise. Inside the device was a projected display showing a swirling map of cosmic energy. Rithus's glowing signature appeared at the center of it. "You saved a starborn youth," the representative said softly. "This is no small act." Mira swallowed. "But I didn't know." "Your kindness did not need knowledge," the blue-skinned representative said gently. "It only needed your heart for starships, for cosmic factions. All here because she had helped someone who fell into a garden." Mira felt lightheaded. The representative stepped aside slightly. The silver-skinned one gestured toward the sky. "As a gesture of gratitude," they said, "each of our groups offers you a place among us. A peaceful role, suited to your nature." Mira stared at them. "A role? Like a job?" The representative smiled. "Yes, but more than a job, a path. The one in colorful robes stepped forward. We, the Luminar Guild, offer you a place as a light counselor. You will work with beings who struggle with their emotions, guiding them to calm and balance. The blue-skinned representative spoke next. We, the Celestial Navigators, offer you a role as a compassion researcher, studying how kindness shapes cosmic harmony. The fourth representative, the one who looked almost human, bowed slightly. We, the Tranquil Council, invite you to join us as an ambassador of peaceful understanding among species. Finally, the silver-skinned representative placed a hand over their heart, and we, the Starborn Guardians, offer you a position as interspecies health mediator. You will help bridge differences in healing practices across many groups. Mira stared at all of them, completely overwhelmed. You want me? All of you? Yes, they replied in one calm voice, harmonious and sincere. Rithis nuzzled her cheek gently. You deserve it, he whispered. Your heart shines. Many hearts do not. Mira's eyes softened. But I'm just... Mira, I don't know anything about star councils or cosmic energy or interspecies anything. The silver-skinned representative shook their head gently. You know kindness, they said. That is enough. Mira felt a warm, steady calm fill her body. She looked at each representative in turn, then at Rithis, who was watching her proudly. She had lost her old job. But maybe that was not the end. Maybe it was the beginning. Mira took a breath and stepped forward. I need some time to think, she admitted honestly. This is a lot. The representatives smiled kindly, as if they expected this, of course. The blue-skinned one said, Take all the time you need. We will remain nearby and cause no disturbance. Rithis fluttered his wings happily. I stay with you, he whispered. Mira reached up and gently stroked his shimmering head. Thank you. The representatives bowed once more, then stepped aside. The soft chimming sound returned as they walked gracefully back toward the balcony. When they left, the starships outside moved slightly, forming a peaceful pattern in the sky like waiting guardians. Mira closed her door and leaned back against it. For starships, for peaceful offers, a cosmic dragon on her couch. Her life had changed overnight, but strangely, she felt ready for whatever came next. The morning light inside Mira Holden's apartment was soft and gentle. It floated across her floor like a warm blanket, making the whole place feel peaceful. Mira stood quietly near her small window, looking out at the four elegant starships still hovering outside the Silverway habitat. Their soft lights glowed like colorful clouds drifting across the sky. Her heart felt strange light, nervous, excited, and unsure all at once. She had spent the entire night thinking. She had walked in circles, sat down, stood up again, made tea, drank water, and talked softly to Rithis until both of them became sleepy. Now it was morning, and she had to choose, for offers, for peaceful paths, for new futures. Rithis lay curled on the couch, his glowing patterns bright and steady now. His strength had returned fully, and he looked far healthier than the night she found him. When he saw Mira watching the ships outside, he fluttered his small wings and hopped onto her shoulder. You feel worried? He whispered gently into her mind. Mira nodded. I don't want to choose the wrong path. Rithis tilted his head. There is no wrong. You choose what matches your heart. Mira sighed softly. It's just, my life changed so fast. Yesterday I had no job, and today for cosmic groups want me to join them. Rithis nuzzled her cheek. Because your heart showed something rare. Mira reached up and lightly held him in her hands. Can you help me understand the choices again? Just one more time? Rithis nodded and floated slightly in her hands as his scales glowed. The Luminar Guild offers you a path of emotional guidance. You help beings with feelings that confuse them. They value calm minds. Mira nodded. The Celestial Navigators wish for you to study compassion and how it shapes the universe. Another nod. The Starborn Guardians want you to help create harmony between healing methods across species. Mira listened carefully. And the Tranquil Council, Rithis continued softly, invites you to become an ambassador of understanding, to help different groups communicate peacefully. Mira felt something warm in her chest when he said the last part. Ambassador of Understanding. That sounds beautiful. Rithis glowed a soft gold. Your heart answered that one. Mira smiled. I think you're right. She took a long, deep breath and gently set Rithis back on her shoulder. Then she opened her door. The 4 representatives were already waiting in the hallway in a calm line. As if they had sensed her decision through the quiet morning air, they bowed politely. Humyn Mira Halden, the silver-skinned starborn representative, greeted. We hope your rest brought clarity? Mira nodded. It did. Thank you all for your patience. The colorful Luminar Guild representative leaned forward with a gentle, glowing smile. Have you chosen a path? Mira looked at each of them, then finally spoke with confidence she did not know. She had only a day earlier. I choose the Tranquil Council, the almost human representative who stood for the Tranquil Council smiled warmly and placed a hand over their heart. We are honored. They said softly, your compassion will be a light among many worlds. The other 3 representatives bowed with respect. None looked disappointed. Instead, they seemed genuinely content, as if her choice brought peace to all of them. You follow your heart, the blue-skinned celestial navigator said. That is the most important path of all. Your kindness will touch every star. The Luminar representative added, and the starborn thank you always. The silver-skinned one said, Rithis speaks of your heart with great warmth. Rithis puffed up slightly with pride at hearing his name. Mira smiled at all of them. Thank you, truly. The Tranquil Council representative stepped forward. When you are ready, we will escort you to your starship. Mira glanced at her apartment, her small couch, her plants, her soft living room lights. She wondered when she would see it again, but instead of sadness, she felt a gentle peace. Her life was changing, and she was ready for it. I just need a few minutes, she said softly. The representatives nodded and stepped back respectfully. Mira returned to her apartment. She walked around slowly, touching one plant, then another. She gently folded one warm blanket and placed it on the couch. She stood still for a quiet moment, letting all her memories settle inside her heart. It's strange, she whispered. I thought losing my job would break me, but maybe it was the beginning. Rithis curled around her neck like a warm scarf of starlight. You stepped onto a new path when you helped me. Mira touched him gently. I'm glad I did. She picked up her small travel bag, a simple soft case she used when visiting family. She didn't have much to pack. She was not taking furniture or big items. Just a few changes of clothes, a small book, her favorite cup, and her medical scanner because it reminded her of home. When she opened her door again, the representatives smiled as though they felt her readiness. The hallway lights dimmed slightly as they guided her toward the balcony. The air outside was cool and filled with the soft shimmering glow of the 4 starships. Now that she was looking more calmly, she noticed that the ships formed a gentle circle around the habitat, not trapping or watching, simply waiting with patience and respect. The Tranquil Council representative placed a hand gently on her shoulder. Are you prepared, Mira Halden? Mira nodded. Yes. A soft beam of light floated from the nearest starship, smooth, warm, harmless. Rithis whispered, It guides us. Mira stepped into the beam, feeling a strange sensation like warm mist or soft fog. The light lifted her slowly, gently, without any discomfort. Rithis floated beside her, shimmering with excitement. They rose through the air, higher and higher, leaving her balcony, then the outer ring, then the entire Silverway habitat behind. Mira's breath caught when the starship doors opened for her. Inside was beauty she had never imagined. The hallways were curved and glowing softly with peaceful colors. Floating patterns of light moved like slow rivers in the walls. Soft cushions, delicate plants, and gentle music filled the interior. Everything felt calm, warm, and welcoming. This ship, the representative said softly, is called Serenity Path. It will be your home as you travel among peaceful worlds. Mira stepped forward slowly, her eyes wide in wonder. Rithis flew beside her happily, circling her head. You like it? He asked with a happy whisper. Mira smiled brightly. It's beautiful. Her new cabin was simple yet elegant. A soft bed made of glowing fabric, a window that showed the stars clearly, and a small desk with flowing light patterns. It felt like a place built to bring peace to the heart. The representative bowed. You are free to rest now. We depart in 1 hour. Our first destination is the Tranquil Council's central garden world. Garden world? Mira repeated with interest. Yes, the representative said. A planet where many species gather to learn peaceful communication. Your first role will be to observe how different cultures share feelings. Mira placed her bag beside the bed. She felt a small tremble of excitement. She was going to a garden world. Ritha sat on the edge of her bed, tail curled neatly around him. I stay with you, he whispered. My journey follows yours. Mira reached out and gently stroked his shimmering head. I'm glad. I don't want to do this alone. You won't, Rithas replied softly. The starship hummed gently as Mira walked to the window. The Silverway habitat looked small now, floating peacefully in the distance. The stars around it sparkled like tiny lanterns. Her old life was behind her. Her new life unexpected, extraordinary, and filled with purpose was beginning. She whispered softly to the stars, Thank you for giving me a new path. The Serenity Path glowed warmly in response, as if welcoming her voice. Then, slowly and gracefully, the starship moved forward, guiding Mira Halden toward new worlds, new friendships, and a future built on compassion. And as she watched the stars drift past her window, Mira knew one thing with complete certainty. Her kindness had opened a cosmic door, and she was ready to walk through it.